Hi everyone, my name is Courtney. I am Fiber Fox Studios. In this video today, I am going to demonstrate how you place the slip stitch round. This will be used on any project that you would like. I have some upcoming things that will be referencing placing a slip stitch around the completed work. So I'm going to show this for that purpose, but you also can use it for any of your projects. And this is how I do my slip stitch round around my completed project before I handle my ends. Well, of course, I will be working in a different color yarn so that you can see what I'm doing. For your project, you would choose either color A or color B, or a color used in your project to do your slip stitch round. Really depends on what you're going for. But we're going to find a spot in your work where you can start. I typically start down here at the corner, but you do not have to. So I am just going to insert my hook into the side of my work. I am not going into a particular stitch. I am actually going into the space between our traditional single crochet right here at the end of the row and where our mosaic work begins. There's a little space right in here we can slip our hook into. So I'm in between the traditional single crochet and my mosaic work. So then I grab my yarn and I'm going to leave a nice long tail so that I can deal with knotting that off later. But I just need to pull up. And now I begin working my slip stitch round. And I am going to place one slip stitch into each of these rows in this case, because we're working along the side of our work. And we do not need to carry our tail along. We can just allow that to fall here in the back, out of our way. So to work the slip stitch, I can now go, here's my next row. I'm in the green row basically. So I'm going to go right here to the space between, and then I grab the yarn from the back side, pulling it up. I do not like to do these extremely tight. You don't want them loose, but you do not want to make it so tight on your slip stitch round that you actually draw up the edge of your work. So I just bring it on through, and now I'm going to go here to the green row and find that space in between. Pulling up a loop and completing a slip stitch without pulling on my work or pulling tightly. Next row, space in between the stitches, and a pull up. Next row, same thing. And we're going to meet back up at the corner, and I'll show you how I handle my corners. So as you can see, I've completed the slip stitch up the rest of that side of my work. You want to make sure that you are keeping in the same position and that this stays very straight. If you start moving over too far, either way, it's going to make this whole line wiggle around and look awful. So make sure you're staying just in that same exact spot, that space between single crochet and the first stitch of your repeat. So now I am here at the top of my work, and this is going to become a corner. So how we go about doing this is I have one more space that I can work into, which will bring me up here to the very top of my row. And that's where I'm going. I want to go into that stitch. I'm basically kind of going into the first double crochet in this top row. But I want to go in there into that stitch and then pull up my loop and finish my slip stitch. I want to make sure that this loop on my hook is tightened down a bit. We do not want to get really loose here. Now we are going to chain one. Same thing, do not allow that loop to get stretched out. You want to keep it fairly tight and clean looking. Now we can go back into that same stitch. We're going to work right back in there, working a slip stitch going into the complete stitch. And that chain one and this working into that same stitch twice is what creates our little corner right there. Hopefully you can see and this is making sense. From here, we just work on the top of our row, working through the whole complete stitch is how I typically do it. I will go into my complete stitches at the top of the row, And then I just work my slip stitch all the way across. I repeat the same thing at every corner, and then you come around to where you began. You're going to slip stitch into it to complete, and then you clip your yarn and bring it to the back side and do a bind off. Same knotted bind off is what I use for every single thing that I bind off. And I have another video on that as well. I'm now here at my other corner, so I've just finished working the slip stitch on the top of my work. And now I'm about to work down the side of my work again, working into the rows instead of the stitches. So here's how you will transition back from working in your stitches back to the side of the row. Do not slip stitch all the way over here just yet. We want to make sure that we create the same corner on each side. So it is important that we pay attention and we realize that we are actually going to go into the space over here. Let me stretch this out. We're going into this space, not into the stitch, but into this space just beside the stitch. So I'm scooting the stitch out of the way. That's where we need to do our pull up and slip stitch. Now making sure that we don't let this loop get loose and out of whack, we now do our chain 1. And then we go back here into that same space right here beside our stitches and in between our single crochet at the end of the row. Now we're going to pull up that loop, slip stitch. And now we're back to the side of our work where we can work down pretty comfortably. So I just completed this blue. Now we go to the next row. Again, finding that space in between, making sure that we stay tied up against our work, but that we are actually going into the space between the single crochet and our row end of our mosaic work. From here, we're just going to keep working on down. It's pretty easy to do once you get started. Hopefully this will help you and you understand what you're doing from here and can start using this on your projects if you are not already. Gives you a nice pretty clean edge. And you can use this, of course, on any crochet. It doesn't have to just be mosaic. Any blanket. That's actually where I started using the slip stitch. Was just regular crochet blankets. I would do a slip stitch round all around before I started doing any kind of border. And I like the way it looks. So hopefully you will too. Hopefully you will enjoy this and see exactly what you need to do. If you have any questions, leave them down there in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye for now.